Hey everyone! So, today I wanted to get into some interesting stuff with the Sonicverse. As the title suggests, there are some silly, scary, and even strange things within the franchise, as with plenty other franchises too. However, I figured I'd start off with Sonic and see where things went. So, if you guys like this video, maybe I'll do this for other games such as Legend of Zelda, Kingdom Hearts, and other franchises like that. Let me know in the comments. But for now, here are some of the silly, scary, and strange moments that I've discovered within the Sonic franchise. Let's get into it. First up are silly moments, and for our first one, we have the animation from Sonic Adventure. The game itself gets mixed reviews on whether it's a bad game or a good game. I've never played it myself, so I don't really have my own opinion on this. It's one of the first 3D Sonic games out there, and is also one of the few games where you get to play not only as Sonic, but as characters such as Amy, Big, E102 Gamma, as well as Knuckles and Tails. And while people debate if any of this extra gameplay as other characters is a good addition or not, one thing that most Sonic fans can agree on is the animation within this game. I mean, it's wacky, to say the least. Their whole faces look like jellyfish whenever they talk. See? Silly moment number 2. Amy's eye troubles. I know that I mentioned this in my Shad Amy video just a little while ago, but I thought it also applied for this video. Amy has a bit of a habit mistaking every humanoid hedgehog she sees for Sonic, regardless of color, shoes, or quill orientation. First, she does it to Shadow in Sonic Adventure 2, then Silver in Sonic 06. She also does it to Sonic in Sonic Unleashed, but I suppose that one she's technically right about, since it is Sonic, he just looks a little different. But then finally, there's Classic Sonic from Sonic Generations, which, again, it is Sonic, but she thinks it's her Sonic, and it's another Sonic, so she's a little bit more wrong on that one, I'd say. Plus also, one commenter actually said back in my Shad Amy video that hedgehogs usually have pretty bad eyesight, so maybe she just needs glasses? But I thought this was a pretty silly moment across multiple games, so I thought I'd mention it here. Now for silly moment number 3, Shadow stealing candy. In the 2005 Shadow the Hedgehog game, Sega really tries to show off how edgy and, cool Shadow is, though it's rather unsuccessful. This game has everything from guns, motorcycles, mild cursing, and after Shadow finds a Chaos Emerald on the Ark, there's also this quote.
You've got to be kidding me, guys. This is like taking candy from a baby, which is fine by me.
Yeah, it's supposed to make Shadow look more tough and rebellious, but in reality, it ends up being pretty silly. And to steal a quote from the YouTuber Mr. Nerdy LPS, like Sonic 06 gameplay, this game's cutscenes are so bad that it wraps around to actually being enjoyable. Finally, silly moment number 4, just Chris. So for this funny moment, we're actually stepping away from the Sonic games and taking a look at the anime Sonic X, specifically Chris. Chris Thorndike is a human boy that befriends Sonic and the others after they all get stuck on Earth. Now, I am by no means a Chris hater. I like Chris, but this guy has had some relatively silly, borderline airheaded moments throughout the show. Like when he first meets Sonic, he does some research on hedgehogs and finds out that they like cat food. So yeah, he tries to give Sonic cat food, which obviously doesn't go over well. Next, when Chris finds a Chaos Emerald, Eggman is there. And, he pretty much snatches it out of Eggman's grasp and doesn't realize that the man is standing right behind him. Then later on, Sonic has to search the ocean floor for a Chaos Emerald, and Chris comes up with all sorts of wacky ideas so that Sonic can breathe underwater, before finally just taking them to a scuba gear shop. And then lastly, way later, Chris and Sonic are reunited in a final season of Sonic X, which takes place mostly in space. But the strange thing that happens is that Chris gets turned back into his child self, so when he tries to fight alongside Sonic, he ends up falling short with his new height, not even hitting any of the blows he's attempting. Now, all of these things are laughable, but maybe not outright stupidity. In their own right, they are smart. He just didn't use proper discernment. Like, yes, Sonic is a hedgehog, and he did do his research, but this hedgehog is also blue, really fast, and can talk. So maybe he might be less hedgehog and more human. Chris doesn't even think of that. And the breathing ideas were also true, they just were impractical for the situation. And so on and so forth. Okay, now we're gonna move into the more unsettling category of scary Sonic moments. And up first, I gotta mention Sonic EXE. Now, I get some confusing information on its history. Some sites say it came out in 2010, others in 2012. But in any case, the one definitive thing is that this isn't a Sega game. It's a fan game that basically turns Sonic from the happy, go-with-the-flow, cool blue hedgehog into a demented, possessed being that wants to hunt down all his friends. Yeah, totally had fun researching that. Scary moment number 2. Creepy dolls. This, Tails lookalike only ever shows up in Sonic R, which, before I actually looked up what this game was, I thought it was another horror game. Between the fact that I associate R with rated R movies, and the other fact that the Tails doll has so many creepy lore videos on it, I was bracing myself for another Sonic's EXE fan game. But no, it's just a foot racing game. And the Tails doll is just supposed to be the robotic version of Tails, since every other character, except Amy for some reason, has one. But the thing that makes this Tails version more scary/creepy compared to the Metal Sonic, Eggman, or Metal Knuckles is just by the way that it looks. It has a more raggedy old stitched-up doll format than a robot. And when you choose to play as it in the games, the thing just sort of floats. And yeah, the other robot characters float as well in this game, but if you look closely, they have like a flame rocket or two pushing them forward. But if you look at the Tails doll, it just has this glitter that seems like it's trailing behind him instead of actually pushing him forward. Scary moment number 3. Dining on Hearts. For most Sonic games, they're happy and light, with witty lines and a relatively goofy main villain. However, in one particular game called Sonic Lost World, Eggman seems to go off the deep end a little, as villains arguably more terrible than himself try to destroy their homeworld. And after you beat Xena in the Frozen Factory stage, you get some dialogue between the Deadly Six, Sonic, Tails, and Eggman, in which Eggman says,
"I'll get fat from eating your black hearts, you Eggman wannabes!"
Yeah, and throughout this entire game, there are plenty of zingers from all parties involved. And while the game itself doesn't really stand out as a shining star, dialogue is quite witty and on the verge of dark, at times like this one in particular. Finally, scary moment number 4, an 8-bit tragedy. There are 2 versions of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, a 16-bit version and an 8-bit version. Now in both these games, you have 2 endings, one for if you successfully defeat Eggman, and one if you don't successfully beat him. And while the 16-bit version is rather normal, simply telling you to go get more Chaos Emeralds, the 8-bit version is significantly more unsettling. Instead of Tails and Sonic running off during the day, it's nighttime, and Tails isn't with Sonic at all. Then Sonic stops and looks up at the sky to see an image of Tails in the sky. This could either mean that Tails is just still captured by Eggman, or, more devastatingly, Tails is actually dead. Either way, it's a pretty depressing ending to heap on top of a player that is already frustrated that they lost. And I know I would have been sad if I'd gotten this ending. Poor Tails. Now for our last category, we've got some strange moments within the Sonicverse. And first up are just some strange games. Usually Sonic follows a theme of Eggman being the villain, or aiding/creating the villain that wants to take over the world. It takes place during modern times, sometimes on Sonic's home planet or on Earth. But 3 games in particular stray from this narrative: Sonic and the Black Knight, Sonic and the Secret Rings, and Sonic Unleashed. The first 2 games are based off of stories. Black Knight obviously based off of the King Arthur story, and The Secret Rings is based off of Arabian Nights. Secret Rings was made first in 2007, and Black Knight was made as its sequel in 2009. Both did okay, but not amazing. Unleashed, however, actually came out between these 2 in 2008, and it takes a bit of a different angle. It kind of reminds me of a cursed version of Swan Lake, in the sense that Sonic ends up turning into a warthog at night and being his usual hedgehog self during the day. All three of these games have villains aside from Eggman in them, though Unleashed is a little bit more like Sonic 06 in the sense that it still has Eggman involved. There's also just a greater villain in it as well. Out of them, I've only ever played Dark Knight, and I'll admit that some of the controls were awkward. It took Sonic a lot of time to actually get up to speed, plus there's also motion controls, which I'm pretty okay with motion controls, as the Wii was really the console I grew up on. However, the thing that probably irked me the most about this game was the comic book style of most of the cutscenes. I really would have rathered cutscenes more like 06 and Sonic Unleashed. But whatever, it's still a good game, and it certainly seems like there's less glitches than anything in 06. So it's a win, I guess, right? Moving on to strange moment number 2. Sonic is a school teacher? Yeah, you heard me right. Sonic actually teaches subjects such as spelling, reading, and math in this game called Sonic Schoolhouse. Sega did in fact make this game, along with Orin Interactive, so it's not some ripoff either. And I do get why this would be popular with little kids. I know I had my own educational games that I liked growing up, so using Sonic to learn is a smart move, both by Sega and the parents buying the game. However, I still just find it strange, since Sonic is notorious for really not being smart at all. With the plot of Sonic, it actually would have made more sense for Tails to teach the lessons instead of Sonic, but I suppose little ones are more inclined to recognize Sonic than Tails, so yeah, there's that. Strange moment number 3. Mountain of Handkerchiefs. I think a few of you know what I'm going to say with this one already, but for those of you who don't, Sonic says a questionable line at the end of Sonic and the Secret Rings.
Shara, will you grant me one more wish? I wish for a mountain of handkerchiefs. Now, just let yourself cry. As much as you need to. You'll have plenty of handkerchiefs to help you through it.
After he brought Shara back and defeated Arizor. And I'm not saying that this fairly famous quote from Sonic and the Secret Rings is bad necessarily. Sonic is basically saying that it's okay to cry and be upset over someone even if their actions were hardly worthy of it. It's just that my first impression with this line is that it actually comes off as callous. I don't know, I haven't played the game. I just watched like the last 15 minutes of gameplay of it and also read some summaries on the game's story. But I just feel like there could have been a better, more heartfelt way for Sonic to help Shara with her feelings. I don't know how really. I'm not suggesting that he just completely take her pain away with a wish. That isn't the answer either. But also, this quote is the last line of the game before it fades to white and the credits roll. So I just feel like there should be something more. I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm curious to what your thoughts are on this, so leave a comment below if you have your own opinions on this. Finally, we reach strange moment number 4, which is Sonic and human women. Yes, I'm going there. Now, I won't say whether I agree with it or not. The most I'll admit is that I thought the relationship between Sonic and Elise in 06 was sweet. It's almost a flipped dynamic of Shadow and Maria, with Elise having the weight of the world on her shoulders, while Sonic tries to get her to smile and lighten up a little. And I'd like to think that a lot of people agree with this point. However, the kiss scene is the thing that seems to have a lot of controversy and strangeness around it. There's this whole Reddit thread that extensively talks about why or why not this scene is okay. And so if you want more information on all of that, I'll have that linked in the description. But basically, the controversy is over the fact that Sonic is a humanoid hedgehog and Elise is a regular human. And they kiss. And also, a reason I'm just surprised that Sega went through with this type of scene at all is that they scratched the original design for Sonic's girlfriend, who was going to be human. I can't get too much information on her, but I'm pretty sure that her name is Madonna. This is a picture of her, I think. She actually gives me Pauline vibes from Mario, only she's got Tinkerbell's hair. Now that's about all I know, so if you know more or if any of what I said about Madonna is incorrect, then let me know in the comments. But in summary, this one scene does have a lot of back and forth of whether it's okay or not. And until doing this video, I didn't even realize about the original concept for Madonna. So yeah, deal with this information however you want to, I guess. But anyway, that's it for this video. What do you guys think of these moments? Do you think that I categorized them correctly? And do you think that my opinions are on point or not? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll never miss another video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!